You're going to be impressed with this. We have a panel here today, and I'll introduce them to you. Maria Rose Belding, who's the founder and director of Means Database. She's a freshman at American University. Elise Kendall, KinoSol co-founder, student at Iowa State University. And Gary Klopfenstein, a junior at Ohio State University, studying sustainable plant systems, specialization agronomy. So this is our. So maybe we only have a few minutes here. So maybe if you could take a minute and maybe kind of explain to the audience kind of like what you're doing, and I think it's so impressive because these are college students. These are like many of the people in this audience here today. So Maria Rose, why don't we begin with you?
Hi everyone, my name is Maria Rose. I run something called the Means Database, and Means stands for Matching Excess and Need for Stability, and we're like a Craigslist for food banks. We're operating in 8 states, working with more than 1,400 partner agencies, and just became the first ever nonprofit to win the George Washington University Business Competition, so we have about $60,000 to spend this summer to feed people.
Elise?
So my name is Elise Kendall, and I'm part of a 4-person team from Iowa State University, and we have created a mobile solar dehydrator, which is for subsistence farmers, so they can dehydrate their fruits and vegetables, so they can keep them for longer periods of time, so they have higher bargaining power in the market, more nutritional access for their families, and then improve their livelihoods overall for their families, communities, children, things like that.
Gary?
Hello everyone, I'm Gary Klopfenstein. One of the student organizations that I'm a part of, we put on 2 events. One of them is a Conversation with Ease training, where we talk about having those, telling our story about agriculture. And then following that event, we have around 300 students, faculty, and staff, some with agricultural majors and others that are not. And we talk about food security, food policy, water quality, some of those hot topics in Ohio, and kind of talking to them, what is agriculture, and just answering the basic questions. That's one of what we're doing.
Well, let me ask you, what got you into this to begin with? I mean, you're all doing something here that's going to help the population that we're talking about. What prompted you at a young age to have the passion to do this?
So I started working in the food pantry in my church when I was about 5. I don't know how helpful I was when I was 5, but I've been working there pretty much ever since. And I really started to, as I grew, the questions that I had grew as well. And I started to ask, why are we seeing the same people over and over again? If people are hungry, why are they struggling with obesity? Why are we seeing the same kind of problems happen for this big, big group of people? So I started to care because it was there for me and it was a resource that I had. And now I care because I know how big of an issue it is, and I know that this is something that matters and something that I can do to help.
Elise?
So last summer, I had the amazing opportunity to spend 3 months interning in Nepal, working in organic agriculture. And I'm in a major that I learned a lot about international development, but it's one thing to read it in a textbook or learn about it in a lecture hall, but it's a whole other experience to be able to be in the country and see these people that are actually suffering from post-harvest loss, from nutrition deficits, like so many problems that like once you see it in real life, it's like you can't come back to America and just forget about it. It's like now I know in the States I have the resources and I have the education and I have the people behind me that will be able to back helping me do something that will help these people that just don't have the resources and the access to be able to eat and get the food that they need.
Gary?
Yeah, I got involved with our event for a couple of reasons. One, I grew up on a family farm, so agriculture is no stranger to me. So communicating to other people why we use GMOs, why we do what we do, really helps people figure out why we do what we do. And I think that's the biggest question of why we do. So that's really why I wanted to do it. I wanted to educate those who have those really basic questions. There's no stupid question when it comes to if they have the understanding that,
You haven't been to Congress yet if you think that's a stupid question.
No.
Well, it's kind of interesting here because, I mean, we're talking about the importance of farming, the importance of being able to preserve what's grown so that it can last longer and actually benefit more people, and also better coordination amongst those who actually provide, help to people. I mean, I've learned that there's not a lot of coordination amongst a lot of the food pantries and the soup kitchens that provide help to people in certain areas. I mean, everyone does their own thing, and sometimes they're doing their own thing in the same areas. And the same thing with the federal government, too. We have multiple agencies that deal with anti-hunger initiatives, but they're not all coordinated, which is one of the reasons why I think the White House should do a White House conference on food, nutrition, and hunger, and bring all you guys there and figure out how do we actually get a plan in place to do it. But look, I'm a Frank Sesno wannabe. I'm not very good at interviewing, but if there are people in the audience who have questions, I mean, please raise your hand. I mean, how do people in the audience kind of replicate what you guys are doing? I mean, what advice would you have to the people here in this audience who are from all over the country, you know, to kind of get more involved in agriculture and local agriculture, and what are the issues they should focus on?
That's a good question. I would say start off with what you're passionate about, because you're not going to be fully invested if you're not passionate about it. So figure out what you're passionate about and then start from there and find other people that are passionate about agriculture. And agriculture as a whole is a very vast wide topics. You can talk about fishing, you can talk about corn. So find what you're interested in and just start communicating.
I mean, Elise, you're the co-founder of KinoSol, right? I mean, and and I think people, you know, I mean, it's a kind of, I mean, there's an issue about how, you know, dehydration of, so the crops last longer, but it's kind of astounding to me, I guess, that you're in college and you are co-founder of this. How do we entice people to kind of take the leap that you did and actually do what they think is right?
Well, I think my first step for it all was just, you know, to do it. You know, people may tell you, oh, you're in college, you have schooling, you need to be working, student loans, all these things, but it's just kind of like, if you have a passion, like, follow your passion. There's no reason not to. And if people see that passion, they will want to help you. And that's really what has been helping my team. It's just all of us are so passionate, and people see that about us, and they're willing to help us, and they're willing to push us forward, because they know we're young, we're in college, but it's inspirational, you know, to see people that are just willing to do this.
How about if I play, you know, I've always wanted to play Vanna White to you.
Good, okay, good.
So I got a mic, and how about if you want me to grab some questions from the audience?
Absolutely.
While I do that, could I just ask Maria, would you explain this contest that you won and who and how many you're feeding? Because what you're doing is absolutely amazing.
Thank you. So we won the George Washington University business plan competition. My partner is 2L. He's taking a final right now, poor guy. But we became the first ever nonprofit and social enterprise to beat out for-profit entities for this top prize. So we won the best nonprofit prize and first place overall, which is really exciting. That's more than $42,000 in funding and another $20,000 in in-kind prizes. I get to spend all summer feeding people, which makes me very, very happy.
How are you feeding them?
So we work with these emergency feeding systems so they can talk to each other and stop wasting things. Food banks threw out more than $600 million worth of product last year just because of issues related to oversized donations and expiration dates. It's kind of hard to move 400 boxes of macaroni and cheese in 2 weeks. We want to help them talk to their partners that are 5 and 10 and 15 miles away and say, hey, I have macaroni and cheese, please come take it from me. Because right now they have to call each other or email, and neither of those are efficient.
So is this an app?
Yes, it's an app. It's an online website, meansdatabase.com, shameless plug. It's live all across the country. We have users in 8 states. They represent almost 1,500 partner agencies, so on-the-ground food shelves and food pantries. That's pretty much the gist of it.
Good. KinoSol, you won money too, right?
Yes, actually, just last night we found out that we have won $35,000 to help us with our field testing in Uganda this summer. Wow. So we're really excited to be able to build some more units. To be able to bring to Africa.
You need these people in Congress.
We do. Run.
Next time you read from your paper plate, take one of them with you. All right, I have a question for you from a student from, what's your name?
Atlanta, Georgia, Jelani Traxler.
What school?
Morehouse College.
Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for your work and your service. You're greatly needed in this world. I guess my question would be, how would you address food quality? You know, because a lot of it's, we're talking about quantity, but how would you address quality? And then another part, what role does love play as a concept in the work that you do? Wow. And how would you use it in an applied setting where food and inequality may be prevalent.
Wow. Congressman, you want to start that?
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the good news is that more attention is being paid to food quality. And a lot of the food banks that I work with, you know, there's an emphasis on nutritious food. And they work a lot with our local farmers. And they're buying crates of tomatoes from our local farmers, which is helping our local farmers do well. So we're beginning to address that, I think, more forcefully. In terms of the concept of love, I mean, I'm from Massachusetts. We don't really show our emotions very well. But I will tell you this. I've seen hungry children in the United States, and I've seen hungry children halfway around the world. And when you see a hungry child, it breaks your heart. And it just doesn't have to be. And I think that what motivates me, and I'm sure what motivates the panel here, is that, look, we believe that we have a responsibility to our brothers and sisters, and that it's not just about me. You know, we need to make this world better for everybody. And so, you know, I think that that's one of my motivators. I don't know whether you guys have some more eloquent words to say.
You nailed it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we have one more question.
Okay, so
Where are you from?
Ben Champion, University of Arizona. I'm here with several students that work on this project called Compost Cats, and I'm fascinated by the potential connection between the two award-winning projects here. How do we connect up food preservation with giving food to people who need it? Our Compost Cats program, that's been funded by the Green Fund at the University of Arizona for several years, gets semi-truckloads of wasted produce from the Port of Nogales, which is the largest landlocked port of produce trade in the United States. A lot of our wintertime produce comes through that port. Semi-truckloads of wasted produce, like in the video that we just saw. They're composting it. They'd like to do something more productive than compost it. Can we get you all to work together and connect some dots here?
Yes, I think so.
I think you can. So the whole moving food around, anytime you can preserve it, that buys you more time. And this is a just-in-time market. That $600 million figure that I dropped, that's all because of expiration dates and things going bad. So if we can work with groups like KinoSol, and congratulations on, that's phenomenal. Thank you so much. That's so awesome. If we can work with groups like that and buy ourselves more time to move things like produce and fruit, which bounces off that other question of nutritious quality, the most nutritious stuff is the hardest stuff to keep good for a long period of time. If we can work together, preserve it, buy us more time, and then move it more efficiently, we're addressing a lot of different issues at once and feeding a lot more people.
Thanks, Ben. I'll let you wrap up, Congressman.
No, well, first of all, this is an impressive panel. And again, it gives me hope that they're doing what they're doing, and it gives me hope that you're here today for this conference. But let me just close with the advice an old history professor of mine used to give me at the end of every class. He used to end every class by saying, "The world will not get better on its own." And I really didn't appreciate it when I was taking this class. I do now. Nothing changes unless good people, like-minded people come together and demand that it change. And I think the examples that you heard up here today are examples of people changing the world. And you could do it in college. I mean, you can begin these incredible projects while you're in college. And so I would urge you to do that, to follow your heart on these issues. And don't forget the importance of knocking on the door of your elected officials and demanding that they take these issues on. We can end hunger in America. We can end hunger all around the world. We just need the political will, and you can help create that. So thank you very much.
Stick with me. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. A freshman, huh?
Yes.
You scare me. Congressman, I just want to ask you one question. How many students in the audience, how many students again, show your hands so the congressman can see how many students we've got? We've got about 23 different schools here. A couple of shout outs. Purdue's over here. Who else? Iowa State. Middlebury. Northwestern. Go ahead. All right. So from all over the country. How many of you would like to go into some form of public service, commit your lives to working to better the lives of others? How do they do that? Where do they start? How did you start?
You know, I started, I started in a political campaign when I was in 7th grade. George McGovern's campaign against Richard Nixon, passing out leaflets
They didn't know
Oh, yeah, well, I know, but anyway. Hey, but I want you to know that even though McGovern lost 49 states, he did win Massachusetts, and I take credit for that. But that's how I got involved, and but it does, being involved politically doesn't mean always being involved in campaigns or running for office. I mean, you can shape public opinion through your writings, through letters to the editor, through, I'm sure that in some of the local newspapers where our panelists are from, they've done profiles on them, and it opens people's eyes and it inspires other people. And I'm inspired by these people. I mean, it never would occur to me to take on a project like they did, and go out and get funding when I was in college. But quite frankly, we need people like them, and we need people like you.
One more question. I'd like to see the hands of the farmers in the audience, people who grow for a living, okay? Now, we heard from Krista Harden earlier today, and she said when her father talked to her, Daddy talked to her about why he did what he did, he said, because we feed people. Mm-hmm. So I know you talk to farmers a lot. How do you get all of us engaged in this enterprise? Well,
first of all, I think we need to appreciate farmers more. And I have to be honest with you, I don't think I ever appreciated them as much when I was younger as I do now. It's hard work to be a farmer. I remember visiting a farm right before Thanksgiving in Hadley, which is a town in my district, and I said, well, have a good Thanksgiving. And the farmer said, well, I hope we will. But it all depends. Make sure nothing goes wrong. I got to wake up at the crack of dawn to milk the cows and do this and do that. And if everything goes right, then I'll have a nice Thanksgiving dinner. But if it goes wrong, it'll be a more complicated day. But it's 7 days a week. And I can't think of anything more admirable than producing food to sustain this planet. And I spend days fighting and debating and knocking my brains out in Congress. And at the end of the day, I sometimes wonder, what did I accomplish? Do I have anything to show for my day of work? And some days, quite frankly, the answer is no. But farming, every day, every single day, they produce food. We can't live without food. And so we ought to, and there's beginning to be a renaissance in this country, a better appreciation about our farmers. More young people want to go into farming.
How many guys here in the audience want to go into farming, agriculture, food of some sort? Okay?
Yeah. And we ought to make it easier for you. That's what government can do, so you can afford the land and you can afford the equipment you need and be able to manage that land the way you want to. But I got to tell you, I am in awe of farmers, and they're my heroes. And I tell that to every high school class I go to. If you want to go into farming, do it. It's a great, great, great way to spend your life. So anyway, that's my.
And I think you're going to hang around for our break.
Yeah.
If I'm not, so people can come up and talk to the congressman. And I don't want to offer internships from your office, but
we do internships. You can even call us for a good furniture store. We do everything in our.
If they don't get furniture from IKEA, they can get it from you.
You can do whatever.
Okay.
You'd be surprised what people call for. But we love interns, and we'd love to have you come up and work with us on some of these issues. So if anyone's interested, let us know.
Okay, he'll be here to talk about that after the break. Okay, thank you very much, Congressman. It's just great. Just great.